Hi, everyone. Welcome to Our Disabled Future, a series where disabled voices lead the way. I'm your host, Nico, and it is a good day for disability inclusion. Each day, during Disability Pride Month and beyond, I'm amplifying real disabled stories, where we are, where we want to go, and how the heck we're going to get there. Together, I hope. Anyway, my guest today is Kay. Let's dive in. Hi, Kay. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, it's so nice to be here. I'm really excited to join you.
Thanks. So tell us about yourself and about your disabled life.
My name is Kay. I have ADHD and autism. I was diagnosed later in life. My ADHD diagnosis came around the age of 30, and then during COVID is when I found out I also got to say I was on the spectrum. Very exciting. And I primarily work as an advocate for ADHD and neurodivergence just in educational spaces, as well as I'm a fine art photographer, and I use my work there to also communicate what it's like living with this disability.
That sounds really creative. Thanks for telling me. What does a disability-friendly future look like for you?
I think that a disability-friendly future is, I always like to come back to the saying of a rising tide lifts all boats. It's one of the things where I try to consider when I'm discussing advocacy, what needs would impact the most of us, because I feel like even if there's a need that I might not have, someone else might have it. And so if we're looking at the needs that the most people have, or that the needs that the most have, or that need the most assistance, there we go, that's what I was trying to say, then everyone else who might need that assistance can also do it. Like, I didn't realize how helpful closed captioning was when I was watching video or, looking at different entertainment spaces. And then my brother, who's hard of hearing, I went over to his house and he just had them on naturally. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. This is something I'd never considered. So in doing that, where we're just inputting all accessibility options that we can find or that we can think of to make sure that everyone has equal access, then we can also make sure that those who may not have realized they were struggling can find that advocacy and find that extra strength.
That's wonderful. Thanks for being open to learning. Universal design is a great thing.
Mhm.
So tell me, Kay, how do we get to that beautiful disability-friendly future that you just talked about? What's our strategy?
I think it's a really multi-pronged approach. And I think first it starts with a lack of judgment, because there's so many stigmas and so many stipulations that come along. Like for me, a thing that I come up against a lot when I'm advocating is, oh, well, aren't you so sick of people who say they're self-diagnosed with ADHD? Or aren't you so sick of people who say they're self-diagnosed with autism? And my answer to that is, so what? Why would it hurt me if they're self-diagnosing? I mean, the only problem might be if they're misdiagnosing and perhaps they have OCD or severe anxiety. They might not realize those tools that are available for them. But if we're making those tools available for everyone, then it really won't matter as much. And at that point, the diagnosis won't really matter as much. So I think the judgment that comes with having a disability is something that we really, really need to address strongly. And I think that especially with the rise of social media and how we're able to build community virtually has really helped with that, because there's so much more discussion that's going on since, even when I was a kid, there was always like, oh, well, that kid has ADHD. And it was kind of like they got their pills in the morning with breakfast and were shuffled along and no one really tried to talk about it. But now it's something that is looked at a little bit more openly. And I think that that's maybe the first step. And then the next step is allowing those honest conversations and listening to the people who have those disabilities so that they can be the ones who are leading the charge in what changes we make. Because otherwise, if you have someone like, I would never say that I'm going to be the best advocate for someone who has a sight impairment, because I don't know what that's like. So I shouldn't be the one who's making the decisions on what best accessibility is needed for that disability. It should be the people who have those disabilities who are leading the charge forward.
That's a fantastic approach. All right, Kay, as our time together today draws to a close, I want to give you a chance that you and I, as disabled people, rarely get. And that's a chance to brag about yourself. You could promote something you've done recently, which is really cool, or maybe something you've got still in the works. If you want to grow your presence online, where can people find you? This is just however you want to answer. A time for you to brag about yourself. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I would say if you want to follow me on any social medias or if you want to see my photography work, it's under K Photoscape. And that's just the letter K and then photoscape, like landscape, but with photo instead. And I would say if you want to find out about a cool organization, you can always check out Art Lifting. They're a company that recognizes me and represents me in my work, and they are actually an advocacy forward company that works with artists with disabilities and artists who have faced homelessness. And they actually go and help interior designers when they're working in corporate spaces to sell artwork to them so that our advocacy and education around artwork and around our lives can be then seen in more broad scope and maybe hopefully build empathy and understanding. Um, I am exhibiting in a show in Lansing currently. It's in the Lansing Shuffle. There's a piece that's there, and it's part of Breaking Barriers is what the exhibit's called, and that's being put on by the Self Advocates of Michigan. So I would highly recommend there's an online aspect to it if you want to go check out the pieces. But otherwise, if you're in the Lansing area at any point in the next month, I would definitely welcome you to go check it out.
That's really exciting. Let me know how it goes, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the links that you mentioned in the video description when we're done here. All right, folks, tune in next time. Remember, this is our disabled future, and we're building it one day at a time together. Wherever you go and whatever you do, I'm rooting for you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.